hello.
Hello.
Oh, you've even got a grunt from Rocky there. How are we all?
Oh, good.
We can't hear Jimmy.
No, we can't hear Jimmy.
We cannot hear you.
Yeah. He's bodged it up.
He's gone all... He's even frozen.
Has he?
He looks like he has gone frozen.
Oh, that's no good. We're off to a brilliant start, aren't we?
Oh, there was movement there. Yeah, he's moving again.
He's trying to do something. He's fiddling around. Oops.
Oh, dear.
I'm all right. Jimmy's obviously not. No, I'm fine, mate.
Oh, you're in charge. Oh, dear.
Oh, bollocks. Hopefully he'll be back in a minute. Anyway, I suppose we all introduce things as they're coming. Hopefully Jimmy get back in a minute. This is the old Sodcast, number 18, I believe. And we are hoping, if everything goes according to plan, doing a little talk on ska and two-tone. We've got Ian here from Ranking the Obscure. Hope you're doing well today, Ian.
Yeah, busy. And a really chilled out day.
Right.
Good.
Is
he back?
That's better.
I had no idea what went on there. I did the countdown thing, the countdown video. The screen stayed black. You two froze. But then I could see on the telly everything was working by the look of it, except you couldn't hear me or I couldn't hear you. What? No, I couldn't hear you.
Anyway, here is our host, Jimmy Barnes, back in town. And
hello. Better late than never. Welcome to edition number 18 of the old Sodcast. Don't know what those two were saying about me while I was
breathing. He just said it was the 18th.
It's the old Sodcast number 18. We have got a very special guest co-host tonight, but he's still making some last-minute preparations, and I may need to put the restream link in the chat for him because I think he tried using it via Instagram, and links via Instagram are iffy. But until our special guest is ready, I'll just say hello and thank you all for joining us once again. And to introduce my usual co-hosts, of course, from Not Suitable for Mum, it's Jason Clow. Hello, Jason.
Howdy, mate.
How are you? You all right?
Yeah, pretty good. Still suffering a little bit, but, such is life. We move on, don't we?
Yeah. Before we get bogged down in Jason's multitude of ailments, we'll switch over and say hello to... From Ranking the Obscure, it's Ian. Hi, Ian.
Hello, Jimmy. Hello.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm all good.
You had a good couple of weeks?
I've had a good couple of weeks. I mean, I've had goodies, haven't I? I mean, everyone's watched my VCLT video from yesterday from Simon.
Mm.
I've got some watching to do, but that's fine. Very nice of him. Yeah, we had the draw yesterday, obviously, for the semi-finals of Battle Royale yesterday.
Yeah, we did indeed. Do you want to give a...
Yeah, I'll just tell you we've got... First one, which will be on Thursday, is between Who's Next and the dark horse of the competition. Talk, the colour of spring.
Oh, now, Who's Next seems to be a very popular album with everyone, so it wouldn't surprise me if this was where Talk fell at the kind of, final hurdle. But you never know.
The second semi-final is Sergeant Pepper's against Nevermind the Bollocks.
Oh, that's
going to be a tough one.
That's a meaty one, that is, isn't it?
That's a Clash of the Titans, if ever there was one, weren't it?
Yes.
I couldn't call that, to be honest. given how well Bollocks seem to be doing, especially against Technique, thanks everyone.
Yeah.
You know, I would. Well, I mean, it's a prediction. I'm not. I'm not going to say who I'm not going to say I'd vote for, but I've got. If I had to predict what would be going through there, I think it'd possibly be Bollocks, but we don't know. We'll have to see. You know, it's. That's the beauty of the competition. It's especially at this stage. It's hard to predict, really. I wouldn't like to make firm predictions on any of these four, because any of them could get through.
No, I'm glad I don't have to. I don't vote because I'd struggle. I mean, we've got a convert to talk, Dave, because Charles put a comment that the Dave of the Morns is now a born again talk fan. So yes, never mind the Beatles. Here's the Sex Pistols. Yeah, so it's going to be two exciting semi-finals, I think.
Yeah, and the first one is this Thursday, you say?
Yeah, 9th of May. Yeah.
Have you got anything interesting coming up on Not Suitable for Mum this week, Jason?
Yes. I'm just trying to decide which way round it is. Music-wise, I am probably going to be showcasing my feeder package that I got through. Ian knows about the album, but I've got a little deal on it. And obviously, Under the Radar will be out on Monday. Sorry, next Saturday. What am I saying? Next Saturday. And we're going to be into the 1970s then, I believe, if memory serves correctly. So, new era, as it were. Some quite interesting stuff in there. Aside from that, it's just the usual stuff. I've got not really music related. I got a comic convention I went to locally, a little bit of footage from that, but nothing overly exciting. And then possibly getting into doing some album reviews of stuff that I've never heard of before that people have recommended to me. And possibly starting off with Green Jelly, if anybody remembers them.
I do remember Green Jelly.
Yeah,
that was. I think that was Justin that we know, Jimmy, that recommended that one to me. So I may go and have a listen to that.
That sounds about right for him. Yeah.
And I'm going to a gig with this chap on Friday.
Oh, there he is. Good evening.
We're joined by our special guest, and he can't decide if he wants to be in portrait or landscape mode. It doesn't matter. As long as you're here, you can be any angle you like.
If I hold it up that way, I can only see half my face.
Well, you're all right, mate. We can see you.
Yeah.
Main thing is we can hear you as well.
Hang on, well, I adjust this bloody phone.
Oh, you're on the phone now. There you go.
God, I've had enough.
Technical issues all round this evening by the looks of it.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with me. That was weird. That, I mean, I've been singing the praises of Restream and saying how good it is. Yeah, you look good that way, Nick. Yeah, no complaints. Yeah.
Ian,
I've got my butcher's hat on.
Excellent.
Oh yeah. Let's make you big. I want to see that properly.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's two-tone, black and white.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh nice.
If I go that way, I can't see all my face.
Yeah.
And I'll be buggered for holding up records.
The funny thing is, Jimmy, I actually spotted that before you.
Yeah, wonderful. Right, Ian, anything in particular you want to plug that's happening on your channel this week?
Well, I got a busy few days. Obviously, I'm going to a gig on Friday night with this young man in the corner here.
That's this coming Friday, is it?
This coming Friday, yeah. Which I need to ring you tomorrow night, Nick.
Well, that's better.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a ring tomorrow so we can sort out timings and all that sort of good stuff for Friday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me adjust this again. I am listening.
That's all right.
Yeah, Richard's probably made his prediction of who's next versus Sergeant Pepper in the thing. Now, if Beatles win, Nick's gonna eat Stevie's hat, apparently.
But there we go.
I think he's sorted.
Well, God. God. Never mind all this. Bring back CFAX, I say.
I quite agree. I miss CFAX and paging the Oracle and all that.
Yeah. And I've been listening to some of Soap Girls albums this week as well. So,
Well,
I had a look at their website the other day. The phrase "scantily clad" seems a bit of an understatement, doesn't it?
That's what we like.
Yeah.
But Nick, they're young enough to be your younger sisters.
I don't care. I should be at the front with my binoculars.
I'm being polite there, saying younger sisters, by the way.
Yeah, and I'm gonna, if I can, I'll take some pictures of him at the front.
Yeah. Well, it's his tongue hanging out.
Yeah. Make sure you get a shot of the pile of the puddle of drool down on the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
On the self-titled Jimmy Barnes channel this week, Monday, tomorrow is episode 6 of Mini Disc Monday. It's technically a live album, kind of. Wednesday is my latest Smule. Sing-along fun, moving swiftly on. And Friday, you've heard his chuckle, you've seen him squint, and now you'll be seeing me open some of his VCLT, because on Friday I'm opening some VCLT from Squinty McGinty there, Jason Clow, not suitable for mum. So thank you for that, Jason. I've said thank you to him in private, and I will do again in the video. So that's what's coming up for me this week. And then next week, there's a lot of stuff coming up, a lot of unboxings and like special ones and mail openings and things like that. So lots coming up on my channel. So there we are. So that's what we're doing this week on mine, Ian's, and Jason's. I won't ask Nick if he's got anything particular planned, because I know he's been concentrating on helping us out here tonight to talk about Two-Tone and Scar Revival. But how are you, Nick, anyway, after are you finally sorted?
Yeah. Oh, good God. You poor buggers. That's all I can say.
Well, we all appreciate you being here with us tonight.
Yeah.
And this is something that's been it's been a few months in the making now, because we had the idea.
I do apologise.
This year, or was it even late last year? It feels
you can blame my daughter for being up the duff and having a baby.
Oh,
look.
the selfishness of them. I don't know.
Yeah.
There we go. Look, we've got a nice shot of Nick's butt, sort of like a side shot of his bum there. It wouldn't be a live stream in the UK without Nick's arse, would it?
No, I've lost an important record.
Okay. Well,
and I just found it.
That's all right.
Yeah. So
but I might have to get up and turn around at various points.
All right, there we go, ladies.
and any gents out there who may enjoy it as well.
Well, indeed.
Let's not discriminate.
Exactly.
So
How do I know? And I'd just be wearing a thong.
I wouldn't put it past him. But we are here today with Nick from Nick's Vinyl Butty, because he's going to tell us what he loves about Two-Tone. Two-Tone, of course, it can refer to either the musical genre, and Nick, you can jump in and correct me anytime you hear me say something that sounds bollocks, but it refers to the genre of music and also the record label for which it was named. So, Nick.
Yeah, well, it encapsulates a wide area of bands.
It is. It's very diverse, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So
Have we started?
Oh yeah. We've been live for about nearly 20 minutes, mate. But
well, I do apologise, technical issues and that.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, it does. It encapsulates a wider group of bands. It's not just bands that appeared on the Two-Tone label. You got bands who appeared on it who left, and bands who never recorded on Two-Tone. That's still actually sort of part of that big thing, you know. All Two-Tone is really ska revival music.
Yeah,
basically.
Because ska, now this is where you can correct me if I'm wrong, but ska predates reggae, doesn't it?
Yes.
In Jamaica.
Yes.
That came before reggae. Because I always think, as soon as I think of Jamaica, I think reggae. But then it's like, well, reggae must be, like, relatively speaking, quite a modern genre if ska predates it. And I mean, calypso will predate it, certainly, won't it? You know,
reggae is, in basic terms, a progression, an evolution of ska music. Ska is, if you listen to ska, the old bands like the Scatterlights, Prince Buster, them sort of ska bands, you can hear elements of you'll hear elements of R&B, jazz, big band sort of sound, you know, kind of swing, and also something called mento, which is in its. I don't mean the minty sweets. It's in its basic form. It's like Jamaican folk music.
Oh right,
mento, and there's bits of calypso. It's a bit like a mongrel, really. Not really a nice way to describe it, but it is. It's a mixture of all different things. But I've seen documentaries. I remember a chit chat with there was one with Prince Buster. He's one of the founding fathers. Some people call him the godfather of ska. If you talk to him about it, he'll get quite defensive about it being none of all that. It's just purely solid Jamaican sort of stuff. And if you try to say it, or if you try to put it past him that it's based on American R&B and whatever it is, well, there are elements in it, but it's not wholly based on that. And he'll get very sort of protective of it all, as will a lot of Jamaican people will.
I can well imagine.
Go on, carry on.
No, I was just going to say, I was just making a side comment. I can well imagine. You know, it's their culture, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something they're very, very proud of. You know, they gave it to the. They took. It's safe to say they took bits of other genres and styles and turned it into something of their making, and they gave it to the world basically. But it was probably more popular over here in Britain.
Yeah,
we adopted it, and dare I say, kind of made it our own.
Yeah, we've certainly got an English flavour to it, hasn't it?
Yeah, but it arrived on our shores basically with the Windrush people.
Yeah, I was going to ask about like the waves of Caribbean immigration. I mean, that to me seems why ska revival, hence two-tone reggae, etc., did so well in this country because of all the Jamaican immigrants. I mean, is that a fair point?
Yes. Yeah. They brought the music over, their culture. They brought over the smart dress. like you'll see, especially in the two-tone era, the tonic suits, the pork pie hats, the smart shoes, the loafers with the tassels on, the brogues, etc. All that smart. Well, they used to wear smart stuff back in Jamaica when they went to church on a Sunday.
Yeah.
You'd wear your smart Sunday best. And sometimes when you went to the discos, the sound systems, they were called. But of course, with the hot, sultry sort of nights, and the vigorous dancing and that, you had to sort of dispense with a lot of the jackets and smart stuff, and you'd be wearing loose shirts and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not just sort of skinheads with size 10 Doc Martens and combat trousers and that jumping up and down. There's more to it than that.
Yeah,
that's where it started, and that's when it came over here. It started to evolve.
Yeah.
Well, it was all sort of about unity, wasn't it?
Yeah, very much
people together.
Very much working class culture. The Windrush people and a lot of the immigrants subsequently from Jamaica came over to help rebuild Britain after the war.
Yeah, and one of the cities that needed rebuilding the most was the epicenter of two-tone, Coventry, because that suffered terrible damage during World War II with the raids, air raids.
I think it was basically rebuilt from scratch, more or less, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So they came over for how can you describe it? A brand new future, employment, housing, money, a lot of stuff you couldn't sort of get very well in Jamaica. A different culture, different way of living. Yeah. And of course, they brought the music with them, the styles, the fashions, and it all came from that basically. But ska music itself had been going for a few years back home in Jamaica.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that. I mean, everyone knows Bob Marley and the Wailers,
Oh, God, there's more to it than that.
Yeah, see, you've got Catch a Fire, which is the first real reggae album, but you listen to their first 4 albums, like Soul Rebels and the Wailers, and there's more ska in there than reggae. That's what they were listening to.
Well, they were the Wailing Wailers.
Yes, that's how they started, weren't they? And I don't know about you, Nick, but I've been listening to it, and I think that's more ska than reggae, them first 4 albums.
Well, I'll be totally honest with you. I've never heard the first 4 albums. I've tried buying them online. Excuse me, I'm trying to stretch my legs here. I'm all cramped up in a corner. That's better. If you, and it's a shame Paul Madamson isn't here, because he'll tell you.
Yeah, I've noticed that it's more. It wasn't until Catch a Fire that their reggae sound come in, but all the albums that preceded it were more ska style.
That sort of Bob Marley stuff we're all so used to came after ska. And then you had stuff like described as blue beat, rock steady, that sort of stuff, and skinhead reggae, stuff on the Trojan label and that. And then later on you had like Bob Marley, that sort of stuff, and dub,
Yeah, because the Wailing Wailers came out in 1965. Long.
Yeah,
it's early fractal reggae, isn't it? 65.
Yeah, it's not. It didn't turn what we would call reggae till Catch a Fire, which was 73. Everything before that was different. It's great stuff.
I've been led to believe somewhere. I can't remember where it was that I saw the quote or the interview or whatever it would have been, but sort of like Bob Marley's ascension in the 70s and this that you've pointed out, Ian, this kind of like move to a different sound come his fourth album or whatever it is.
His fifth album.
His fifth album, Catch a Fire. That was like a deliberate ploy from like his record label for him to make his sound more, for want of a better term, Western, as in to make it more appealable to whites. This is only what I've read some years ago, that Marley, much as is respected, I'm no expert on him, but his sound of reggae when he was in his pomp really was quite a sound catering towards white Americans and I suppose white Europeans, rather than it being real sort of completely 100% rooted in Jamaica. I don't know if that's anything that any of you chaps have heard about.
Yeah, I think there's some about that, but I think it's them first four albums. They're more Jamaican culture that they would have been into ska, wouldn't they, Nick?
Earlier on, yeah, but like I say, the Bob Marley stuff and people like Steel Pulse, Black Uhuru, I can never pronounce that properly. Bands like that, it's a progression, it's an evolution. You started off with like ska. Ska is like an infectious beat. It's sort of like the dance music you had in clubs, sort of fast, or like not as fast and pacey as like this electronic sort of stuff, but had a good steady rhythm, easy to dance to, quite vigorous. But because it was like vigorous dancing in the hot sweltering sort of summer evenings over in Jamaica, these they're called discos, but it was sound systems traveling disco. Because it was like vigorous dancing and a vigorous sort of infectious beat, people were fainting and passing out, basically. And to sort of combat this, they kind of moved on with like Rocksteady. They kind of slowed it down a bit, so it wasn't so fast and pacey. Yeah. And then from Rocksteady, you kind of moved on to like sort of Lovers Rock, which was a bit sort of slower.
Yeah.
And then when it came over here to Britain in the late '60s, you had like sort of skinhead reggae, which had a more sort of melodic kind of orchestral beat behind it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I always felt that ska in itself, certainly what people like the Specials were doing, had a slightly punky edge to it.
Well, yeah, I mean that is kind of, I mean, it's probably maybe a little bit of a generalisation, but it was
that energy. It was a kind of
ska revival that came, that kind of sprung out from the punk scene, weren't it?
Before you get on to that sort of stuff in '79, Two-Tone, you've got to talk about the stuff that came before it, because Two-Tone, it's like it's an evolution of ska.
Yeah. But no, the reason I mentioned it was because I've been doing this investigation. Some of the '60s stuff, I mean, it was definitely ska, most definitely.
Yeah.
Right? This is me, obviously I don't know as much as you do, but this is me discovering it, and I know the '70s stuff, not the '60s. I've heard of Prince Buster and all the rest of it, obviously, but, the similarities are so... it's got its own sound, but you can hear the foundations in what was done in the '60s and possibly even the '50s.
Yeah, like I say, if you listen to it, you can hear elements of swing, big band sound, the odd bit of soul,
Yeah.
the odd bit of jazz, bit of calypso. You know, bits and bobs.
It's a real hodgepodge. It's funny you mentioned calypso because every time someone says calypso, I always think of Doctor No, the first James Bond film. So that's got calypso all over it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
That Three Blind Mice from Doctor No's very calypso.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I love it. It's like a motif that runs through the film. Richard asked you a question, Nick. He wants to know if the Israelites were ska or reggae.
Oh.
It's classed as the first reggae #1 hit single in Britain.
That's the kind of the, well, I don't know if you can call it the official first, but it's what people consider to be the first.
Yeah. When we talk, we mention sort of club, sort of the fast beat of modern day sort of club music. I've got that on acid.
Let's make you big.
Oh, it's the wrong way round. You've got your mirror thing on. It's all backwards.
I can read it. So this is ska.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long as D house sound.
Yeah.
Like that's like an acid ska sort of dance type thing.
Oh,
that's actually worth listening to. That's a good tune. That is. I enjoyed that. That was a blind buy, but yeah, Desmond Dekker, reggae. I'd call it more sort of skinhead reggae. It's got that sort of kind of beat. It's not exactly ska. I did actually. I saw Desmond Dekker playing live, 1985 at the Isle of Wight Scooter Rally. He did a set.
Oh wow!
Made my weekend. That did.
Yeah.
Absolutely fun. I was down the front with all my mates, in like scooter, like get up and that, dancing up and down, and brilliant. I do have a Desmond Dekker album here, but I can't find it. No doubt, I'll find it later on.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who wants any recommendations, and I'm sure, after tonight or whenever, Nick will be happy to leave some in the comments if anyone specifically requests anything, and hopefully, he'll be giving some recommendations, verbally tonight. I mean, moving on to Two Tone itself and how it started. I mean, it was particularly the specials, but just the scene generally. It like burned really bright for a relatively short period of time, didn't it? I mean, it was like not that many years that it was a thing really, but there was a lot of big hits. I mean, I was reading the Two Tone story recently, and seeing almost every week there was some sort of Two Tone or Two Tone related act appearing on Top of the Pops.
There were three in one night on Top of the Pops.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Specials, Selector, and Madness.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think I remember seeing the actual episode when it televised.
Yeah, I think I may have seen it myself, but yeah. Before you get onto Two Tone and that, you have to mention, the stuff before, because a lot of Two Tone is cover versions of the original sort of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of covers. I noticed.
And if it wasn't for that, I don't think there would have been a Two Tone. That's
possibly
got the second wave of ska, Two Tone ska sort of revival,
Mm.
And it all started 79. I've had to write down dates and all that because I can't remember a lot of bloody facts. I've got shite loads of notes here.
Oh God!
It all started 79, May the 4th, which was 45 years yesterday.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
Happy 45th birthday for yesterday.
Yeah, quite a coincidence, actually, isn't it? I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, we have time this well, don't we?
Yeah. I don't know how to fathom out how to switch this bloody screen around. But
go into your settings.
Yeah, you are actually the right way round on the YouTube screen. It's just on the actual restream menu. You're wrong, but it doesn't. But
as long as it's.
Yeah, but you are the right way round on YouTube, so I won't worry too much about it, really.
Oh.
No, well, I'll tell you what the records are. I'm a bit of a technophobe, so I don't really understand how a lot of this stuff works.
I'll make you
it started on May the 4th, 79. Gangsters.
Yeah, by the Specials.
Specials was released. Yeah. Now, this is an actual original copy, but the sleeve is wrong.
Oh.
Later issues were released in a two-tone sleeve, but the original was released in a plain white generic sleeve, and it had hand-stamped printing on it. It had on the original sleeve. It had special AKA Gangsters versus the Selector.
Yeah, was that the side with Selector?
Yeah, the Selector's on the B side.
Oh, the B side rather than the way.
Sorry?
Wasn't that song released before the Selector band actually properly existed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a close call. Like I say, this is an original OG copy, but it's in the wrong sort of sleeve. This was distributed by Rough Trade originally, and later on, Two Tone was ended up being distributed by Chrysalis. But this is a genuine original copy of the first release ever on Two Tone, and I know that because I've checked. I've got the pictures of all the lettering and whatever on
the run out etchings and
yeah. They all match up, and also the original one, instead of like sort of finishing abruptly, which a lot of songs sort of did, it fades out towards the end.
All right.
So that's an original copy, not mint, but it's certainly doing a Crisis. And the selector on the B side was written, although it's an instrumental. I think the music was written by Noel Davis, who was a member of the Selector, and John Bradbury, who was drummer for the Specials.
Was it Joey Darrow, the guy behind it as well? Was it Joey Darrow?
Quite possibly. I have seen all the names, but those are the two I wrote down.
I mean, I just wondering if Jason might be thinking of Jerry Dammers by some show.
No, it was the guy that was behind the Specials in itself.
Yeah, Jerry Dammers.
I thought it was Darrow. Okay, my mistake.
No, Jerry Dammers. Special is his baby, basically.
Yeah.
He is the man behind the whole of Two Tone.
Right, I stand corrected.
Yes. Yeah, so, well, I mean, although he didn't quite get the name right, I did want to bring up Jerry Dammers, because obviously he was the driving force behind both the Specials and Two Tone. I mean, is he, in your opinion, Nick, is he the most important figure in the whole thing, or is there anyone else who might really, for you anyway, be worthy of mention?
Jerry Dammers was, the boss. He's the head of the company, basically.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, all the other people involved, the other bands and the band members, are just as important. It's a team effort.
Yeah, there's one more person to thank for getting it on the airwaves is John Peel.
John Peel, yeah.
He played it. I think again, this 45 years ago this week, he played both sides. He played he played Gangsters, and then he flipped it over and played the Selector.
Yeah, I actually wrote that down earlier.
Yeah, I've been reading his book, so that's why I know it.
It
So
all,
he was
it all
probably the
comes back
first
to John
DJ.
Peel, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Peely, it was, you know, so much like alternative music. He was, you know, he had a big hand in, you know, bringing to people, because he was the only person playing that sort of thing on the radio. Mike asks an interesting question. He says, "Why do you think Madness left Two Tone to go to Stiff? Two Tone seemed like a better fit for their music."
Right. Well, I'll come on to that in a bit.
Okay. Yeah, don't worry, Mike. We will address that
because I know the answer. I know the answer to that, and it's quite a surprising answer, actually. But yeah, so that one started it all off. You know, that is the main one. Also on that day, and it's all right. It's not part of the two-tone scene in that, but one of the other. A record I consider to be one of the most important in British record music history was also released, and that was that.
Our Friends Electric, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got to fit him in somehow, hasn't he?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I've shown you my cars collection.
Yeah, once.
Not the last week, mate.
Yeah. So yeah, records being released on the same day will turn up again in a while. So yeah. So I'll do the question Mike did in a bit. So
yeah, well,
yeah,
fine. Yeah, whatever you.
The reason why there weren't special songs on both sides of the single is basically it was a do-it-yourself job.
Yeah,
and the specials only had about 700 odd quid to spend on producing the single and sort of getting it out there to the public, and they ran out of money. So they basically invited the Selector to put a record on the B side. And like I've mentioned, John Bradbury, who's drummer with the Specials, and Noel Davis, who played guitar with the Selector, they came up with that. Well, I think they'd already come up with that a good while before, but it ended up on the B side of Gangsters anyway.
And it was recorded in a little studio in Coventry, wasn't it? Horizon Studios.
Yeah.
Very little record company, wasn't it? Sort of a shoebox.
But if you go to the Two Tone, there's like a Two Tone sort of museum in Coventry.
There is, yeah.
I've been there quite a few times, and there's a shop there you can buy clothing, Two Tone sort of that skinhead sort of period clothing, and there's a cap. There's a lot. They've also got like a blue plaque trail and that you can sort of follow around Coventry to visit all these places. The pubs and all that. They a lot of the bands sort of met up in, and like Ian says, recorded at and all that sort of really interesting sort of place to visit. Jerry Dammers also had his sort of two-tone offices there. He had like the first floor of an old house.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. Because I was about to say, didn't Jerry Dammers set it up basically? I didn't know I couldn't remember if it was his house or just someone else's house, but he used like a bedroom or something, and that was basically the record label.
Yeah.
As far as I know, it was rented accommodation or a rented property. I've actually got a photo of me sitting on the wall outside the house, holding up that record.
Oh, so I look.
Zoom in.
Oh, that's nice. What?
That's an early original this our two-tone compilation. It has been reissued various times over the years. I think it was reissued last year on Record Store Day or the year before. I'm not quite sure. But I'm sat on the wall outside the house, and you can see the blue plaque on the wall. I'm sat there holding this up.
Oh, nice.
But
it's just hard to believe that some of the very first and some of the classic two-tones were recorded in a house. I mean, it's not the first time of someone like that. I mean, Joe Meek did it above a leather shop, didn't he, in London? So it's just I like that's what I like about it's just working man's.
Yeah, I mean it's a very punky, kind of ethic, isn't it? Do it, do it yourself. I think you all Nick, mentioned about the DIY sort of aspect to it, and somewhere like Coventry as well, which probably had no sort of real associations with music, and then it's the one city that is completely associated with this scene, and it's when you consider Birmingham, which is a fairly larger city, well, much bigger city, I believe, only up the road, but this all happened in a relatively small city like Coventry. It was when you think about how London centric the British music industry was, and I suppose still is, really, to much the same extent. That a city could just like be started and then grow so rapidly and so well in kind of like a provincial town. Really, it amazes me in a lot of ways.
I was just going to say that documentary that I was watching actually said that Coventry was probably the only place it could happen because of what was going on at the time. And you listen to the songs and the lyrics and everything, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, well, if you listen to the song Ghost Town, a lot of people will think, well, with all the political upheaval that was going on at the time, and racism as well, you'd think it was all about Coventry, and a lot of the people of Coventry sort of fought back and said, no, hang on a minute here, it's not as bad as what you lot are portraying. They're quite upset about it, but it was, the specials were kind of political, the beats were. Rankin Roger was very political, and also you had that song Free Nelson Mandela as well.
Yeah, that was kind of like in the, would you say, the death throes of two-tone, really, that was, weren't it?
Well, it was more or less when the specials had sort of come to an end. I just what Jason said, he mentioned his sort of punk and that. It's like two-tone is like it's a mixture of ska, rock. I can't know how to hold these bloody things up. Rock steady with a punk sort of beat to it, a punky sort of attitude.
Well, I was going to say more the attitude than anything else. A different sound, but certainly that sort of ska for me always made it very much made me want to get up and stomp my feet and jump about.
Yeah.
Which for a lot of people is what punk did.
I'm glad, because Jason, you've just reminded me there. But some of my favourite parts of the two-tone story were reading about some of the wild gigs. Were you ever at any of those at all, Nick? I mean, were you there for any of those? Really?
No, not in them days, because I was far too young.
Sure. Sorry, yeah. I probably artificially aged you there by maybe 5 or 10 years.
Even I was too young to be. In
all
honesty, 11, 12.
So yeah, so
no, so I was far too young. Even if I was with an older person, I don't think my old boy would have dreamed of letting me go.
Yeah,
as much as I'd have wanted to.
I mean, some of the things that used to go. I mean, what's it the Specials, or am I getting them mixed up with another band who always, for a time anyway, invited the audience up on stage with them?
That's Jerry Dammers.
He's
to blame. He's to blame for that. Yeah, there's a famous video. I think it's Rock Goes to College.
Yeah, I've seen.
And at the end, there's sort of like this Skinhead Moonstomp, or it was called the Skinhead Symphony. And he was at a lot of gigs. He was inviting, all the kids and whatever up on the stage, and you'd see them all dancing away and jumping around, and literally the stage would be bouncing like that. and it would be a melee. But there was a famous. I'll get on to racism and all that in a while. There was an incident where a young lady was being hassled by racist scumbags, and Terry Hall was having a go at them, and then he ended up throwing his tambourine at them or something like that. I think he called it a tambourine, and the idiots were eventually sort of kicked out, and the young lady was an Indian lass who used to dress up in all the gear and all that and go to the gigs, and her name was Gurinder Chadha, and she ended up becoming a film director, and she did the film Bend It Like Beckham.
Oh, when you said the name, I thought that rings a bell. That'll be why.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I sort of first, if we kind of go back to the beginning a bit, just sort of jumping backwards and forwards and all. I want to try and get in as much as I possibly can.
That's fine. I mean, if you
without hogging the limelight.
No. It's yours to hog. It's yours to hog. It's fine.
I sort of noticed what was sort of going on back in the late 70s, 79. Something going on musically. When I was at school, people were turning up with their black Harrington jackets, the black stay press and the loafers and the brogues and the white socks. And a lot of these sort of plastic sort of badges were turning up on people's jackets of that chap in various poses.
Yeah, I've forgotten his name.
His name was Walt Jabsco.
Walt Jabsco, that's the one. And they brought out a lady one after a while, didn't they?
Yeah, a few years there was kind of a lady sort of two-tone one who appeared with him, but there was another lady who became the logo for another band, and I'll get on to her in a bit.
Okay.
But Walt Jabsco. Now I've read two different things about it. Every so often I might say, well, allegedly or something like that, because in the past I've read one thing and recently I've read another. But Walt Jabsco, Jerry Dammers got the name from him from a 10-pin bowling shirt, which he found in a charity shop.
Oh, okay.
But years ago, I read he got the shirt not in a charity shop, but in some sort of street market in Morocco or something like that. But I don't know. But Walt Jabsco on the back of an American 10-pin bowling shirt. So if anybody from America has got a relative or knows of a Walt Jabsco, I'd love to know. Just to see a picture of him.
Check the family trees and
Are you saying about going to school? I remember there was a girl in my class. When we started the year, she'd got long hair, and by the middle of the year, she got a Harrington jacket, a skinhead on the top, and then a little bit hanging down here.
Yeah, my daughter has that.
Yeah, and she was really, and it was her that really. I used to talk because we two used to talk music even at 12, and she was talking about that her mum and dad were influenced by ska and rocksteady, and she loves the music, and she was sort of one of the first people I knew that was banging on about two-tone and that, and then she brought in the single "A Message to Rudy."
Love that
Yeah.
song.
Which is a rock. She said this is a cover.
It's a cover version,
Yeah, Dandy
Livingston.
And she said, I've got the original here. A mum's original, and it's on the Scarbeat label.
So I'm not entirely sure whether Dandy Livingston's version was another cover version. I'm not 100% sure. I could be right. I could be wrong.
But she said, and they changed the name a bit because it's called, there's a Message to Rudy and a Message to Rudy is the specials version.
Yeah.
And I think the original was a Rudy, A Message to You, if I remember rightly.
Yeah. It's basically Rudy is as in rude boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is more or less some sort of a petty criminal.
Yeah.
Back in Jamaica. Yeah, I was looking for the Dandy Livingston album now. I do have it, but I can't. I wish I'd pulled if I'd have known that was coming, I'd have pulled the bloody thing out. But yeah, Walt Jabsco sort of came about via Jerry Dammers and a couple of other people who worked for the Chrysalis sort of what do you call it, A&R department, I suppose you call it. Was the design department.
It was Chrysalis that did all the distribution for Two Tone, weren't it?
Yeah.
They were like, Two Tone was kind of like a sort of a subsidiary of a way, in a way, weren't it, of Chrysalis? Yeah,
if Chrysalis said, well, if you buy Special's album, their first album over in America, I think it is actually on the Chrysalis label. I've only ever seen one before in my life, and I've never seen an American copy over here in Britain. But this chap here, Walt Jabsco, is actually based on Peter Tosh from the Wailing Wailers.
Oh, right.
Ooh.
If you there's an album of theirs. I've tried many a time to buy on eBay and Discogs, but original sort of ska albums and real good nick and that go for real good money. And although I can afford the odd one or two, I ain't prepared to pay silly buggers money, you know.
No.
I dare say Paul Madden Sin's probably got it. He's got a lot of original ska stuff, skinhead reggae, real collectible stuff.
Yeah.
And so yeah, there's like an album with three of them standing there. You got Peter Tosh, who this is based on, standing there in his black suit and white shirt and all that with the glasses on. You got Bunny Wailer,
yeah,
and I believe Bob Marley as well in the early days. So that's where he came from.
Yeah,
that sort of cool two-tone rude boy type image, you know.
Yeah. Just to go back to Jerry Dammers again for a moment, he'd had a few cracks at entering the music industry prior to, making it big as, the force behind the Specials and Two Tone, didn't he? It was. It'd been. I think I read it'd been. Was it either the late 60s or early 70s? He'd been a recording artist and he'd been in a few bands, but none of them had ever really done anything other than maybe a bit of local success.
I know he did other bits and bobs, but in all honesty, I've never really looked into it. Never really gone into his sort of history
it was just
background
information about earlier bands he'd been in the Two Tone story, and I don't think any of them were particularly, relating to Scar or anything like that. I could, I could be wrong there. I just wondered if you were at all familiar with any of his pre-specials kind of output at all. Just
no, not really
curiosity.
familiar.
Yeah,
but he was into bands like the Who and that.
Yeah, he was into the Who. What's it? The Kinks.
Yeah.
Then he became a hippie.
Well, he looks a bit like a hippie now. He's got the long hair. And
he was a bit of a hippie, and he was into soul. And then all of a sudden he became like the godfather of British ska and two-tone, didn't he? So.
Was he quite sort of was he from quite a well-to-do family? Like,
yeah, he was.
It was his father, like someone quite important, or am I getting that wrong? Like his dad might have had like quite a highfalutin.
His dad was the dean of Bristol Cathedral. He was a.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
His dad was in the church.
Yeah, that was
very well-to-do family at Bristol Cathedral. So he lived it. He had a.
Yeah. So yeah, it's quite sort of. It's nice, really, that like sort of this kind of working class two-tone explosion was thanks largely to
some middle class.
Let's face it, was probably quite posh, really. Dammers, like at least he probably grew up quite posh. Anyway, I'm sure I'm guessing he would have played all that kind of thing down after a while. But
yeah, he came from middle class background and opened up a record studio in a little back street in Coventry.
Yeah,
but going back to him liking the Who, that's their first album.
Yeah,
it's pretty big.
Yeah, they said about that with the cover.
Yeah, it's an iconic sleeve.
It's a great album as well,
which is based on that.
Yes, it is.
Of course it. Yeah. Oh, I never made that connection. Of course it is.
Yeah. Well, apparently at the time of that, the Who were his favourite band, but whether they still are or not, I don't know.
Guy called Chalky or something was the guy, the photographer for him or something.
That I don't know.
Yeah,
honestly, don't know.
They mentioned that as well.
It might tell you on the back of the sleeve here, actually.
And he did a lot of work for him.
Yeah, sleeve by Chalky Davis.
There we go. Yeah.
Tardy Star. It was actually taken in the an old Coventry Canal Basin boatyard area.
Yeah, there was a picture of them with some sort of boat that got marooned. Not marooned. What am I talking about?
Yeah, I know. What you know
what I mean? Yeah. I can't think of the word.
So So I sort of became aware of what was going on in '79. I kind of got an interest going by all these people wearing these badges and that, and me wondering what the hell it was. And
it was a very it's a scene that it felt, when I was reading the book, it felt like a lot of the time for some people anyway, that the clothes were, having the right uniform in inverted commas was as important as listening to the singles and the albums.
Yes.
Which is, I mean, I have sort of mixed feelings about any kind of music scene where, the kind of fashion of it takes precedence. But I'm not saying that the two-tone clothing and fashion was more important than music. It wasn't, but it seems when I was reading about it that a lot of people, when they started being two-tone fans, they really went in for the full get-up, and it was important to have all that.
It was back then, It was. I mean, you'll find more about this when I do my new wave of British heavy metal. There, it was there was when I was 12, 13. You'd got rockers, you'd got the mod revival, and you got the two-tone people.
Yeah.
the people involved in the two-tone and that, like you say, the clothes, the look, and all that was vitally important. When you went out to a lot of these gigs, it weren't all just crew cut haircuts, red braces and Levi's and 14 old Doc Martens. You know, you wanted to look smart. You wanted to impress the women, basically.
But I think with a lot of stuff around that time, it was all part and parcel of the thing, wasn't it? Yes, the music was the fundamental.
Yeah. But it was like the mods.
Look,
like the mods used to dress up smart and that.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, the new romantics.
Yeah.
Right. You know, they all had your own looks.
It was very, very
important.
It was very important at that time. It doesn't matter what genre you were listening to, but then there was people like me that have always liked music full stop. I was listening to Motorhead, but I loved the two-tone. I loved Madness. I loved the Specials. But you didn't admit it to your friends.
Yeah.
You didn't, because there was you was either in this camp. It was all in box.
Yeah.
You couldn't, not like today.
You had to nail your colours to one mast, and it don't matter how eclectic your tastes are in reality. You know, you've got to be like part of this subculture or that.
Yeah. But to say if you was a rocker and you just say like you like the Jam, that was poo-pooed.
Yeah.
You couldn't like the Jam, even though the Jam were a great band. I loved the Jam, but I couldn't say I like the Jam.
Yeah.
So it's been around at that time. It was very, very part of it. The music, the look.
Yeah,
and I mean, I must admit, we were the rockers were the scruffiest of the lot. We were the scruffy urchins.
Oh well, yeah, with the mullets and the denim jackets and all the rest of it,
and the big hair and all the all that.
I believe it or not, I did have a dodgy mullet.
But the two tones. I mean, this girl at school, and I know her name was Anita. She looked. People thought she was a bit hard. But she wasn't. She was a really nice girl. She got a bit bullied because of what she was doing, but she got this belief because her parents were into it all. So she grew up. Her parents let her do that. So,
around that time, that had been released when I sort of realised what was going on.
Oh, that's an iconic single. That's
all sort of like early-ish period specials. Then
I think it was either their second or third release.
Fairly early. Yeah.
But that actually isn't a Specials gig.
Oh,
that's a Selector gig.
Oh, right, that's weird.
Yeah, and where is he? I don't know. I forget who he is. I've read who this happy chappy is here, but that was added in at a later date. But and
that wasn't the song that Thatcher didn't want played.
Well, it's a song about teenage pregnancy and birth control, but it's actually more or less a cover version.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I did write it down. I've got notes all over the place here, but yeah, it is actually. It's more or less a cover version.
Well, don't you start.
Right. Oh, I can't find it.
Yeah, it is. I've just got it for you. The Touch Movement was based on the 1969 song "Birth Control" by Lloyd Chalmers.
That's it. Yeah, and they reckon the BBC wouldn't play it, or Top of the Pops wouldn't, which I think's a bit of a lie because it was played, but at the end of the song, it says "try wearing a cap," as in as in birth control and that. And
It doesn't mean like a baseball cap, Jason.
No.
But
Yes, I knew what he meant. You don't have to Jason.
They they had to sort of cover that up a bit before they would play it.
Yeah.
So it was played, but great live. This would do for the Thursday night one coming up.
Yeah.
Great live stuff that is.
Has that got the Guns of Navarone? That's the one that's got the Guns of Navarone on it.
Yeah, that's one of my favourite two-tone tracks of all time, actually.
Yeah, an old classic war film theme, and it's brilliant. The BBC tended to play that one more than because of the controversy, but
that's on the A side, After Too Much Too Young, which I think was also one of the quickest, as in song duration tunes of number ones of the 1980s as well.
Yeah, it's short, isn't it? Yeah.
Also, on the other side, you got Long Shot Kick the Bucket, which is a song about a South African racehorse which dropped down dead.
Oh, different idea for a song.
I know the song. I didn't know it was about a horse.
Yeah, it's about a horse. A big favourite amongst the people in South Africa, which I believed it dropped down dead during a race, actually. If you listen to the lyrics, especially the original version, you'll hear it. You'll hear about what happened.
Yeah.
Liquidators on here, which they play at Chelsea. That's their song. And Skinhead Symphony, which is when Jerry Dammers invited the audience for a bit of participation on the stage and created havoc.
Yeah, some of those gigs, just reading about them, it's such a good book, The Two-Tone Story. If anyone, I know you will have read it, Nick, and I'm assuming Ian, you might be familiar with it at least.
Yeah,
at least it's so I was just so absorbed. This is a genre of music that I knew next to nothing about, other than the very basics, and I was just reading about all these gigs and just. Like it was transporting me like 45 years ago. It was fantastic. But, I do love a good music book, and that is one of the best ones I've read this year. In fact, let's make Nick big again. Yeah, is that it? Is that the one? I read it on a Kindle, so I'm not really familiar with the sleeve.
Two-tone before, during, and after this is.
Yeah.
I also subscribe to the fanzine the bloke produces as well.
Oh, no,
that's probably the Bible of two-tone. Very, very comprehensive. Yeah. That is good, an excellent read. That is.
Yeah.
I think it's also signed. Oh, Two-Tone offices. That was lucky. 51 Albany Road, Coventry.
Yeah, I saw that address. Yeah.
Yeah,
thank little place.
Nondescript.
Like I've said, I've got a picture of me sat on that wall holding up that album.
Yeah.
They were saying they basically used to get like about 10 people in there max, and they just like play music and have a bit of a laugh, and then obviously they'd be doing their recordings and stuff. But yeah, basically it was just like
there is a video of them all up there.
Yeah,
dancing away and all that, and they're speaking away with Jerry Dammers and Terry Hall and all that. And
the documentary I saw, I sent to Ian and Jimmy before we came on, was the Two-Tone The Sound of Coventry that was on BBC Two, I think, and that was quite. It's not very long, but it's quite a detailed thing. I think it was like about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, but there is other good ones you can watch.
It was an official two-tone film, weren't there? But I don't know if
I'm going to get onto that in a bit.
We're going to get onto a lot of things in a bit. Like Nick's, he really wants to do a deep dive, which is great.
He's been doing his research.
Specials weren't always known as the specials.
Okay. The Coventry. Automatic. Yeah, that's what they were called. Yeah, of course. I'm trying to read that backwards.
That's in their early days. the vast majority of these went on to play with the specials as we know it.
Yeah.
There's a couple of others here who didn't last. That one's actually autographed by Neville Staple.
Oh,
Just there.
Okay.
I've met him and his lovely wife at the Two-Tone Village and that, and got various bits and bobs autographed and photographed.
Was that the lady who'd been like a fan for 35 years, and then it was her idol, and then they got married?
Yeah, they're married. But not always known as the specials. They actually, I did write it down earlier. Please bear with me.
That's all right.
So
I've just noticed you've got a nice Horace Panther sleeve behind you. That's very eye catching. It looks good as a kind of backdrop to this.
At the top there, that's another book, Horace Panther Specials. That's another good read.
Right, okay, yeah.
I've got loads of other books and magazines and all that, but they're all away in boxes, and I just haven't got the room to do this and put everything else out. And they were known also as the Special AKA as well.
Yeah. That was when Hall went off to do the Fun Boy 3, wasn't it?
Before, yeah. Well, they were originally called that. They were called something like the Automatics, Coventry Automatics.
Yeah.
And then the Special AKA, the Automatics. But they shortened that to the Specials, basically.
Yeah.
But when the Specials more or less were coming to an end, they sort of appeared in various guises under the name of Special AKA.
Yeah, there we go.
And that's where you had like your Nelson Mandela sort of stuff. And Jerry Dammers appeared on the odd tune or two, but he eventually called it a day. And you had Terry Hall and Neville Staple and Linval Golding went and started the Fun Boy 3.
Yeah.
But they'd already told the band members beforehand, about a good while beforehand, that they were leaving. And
that's right.
They said they were like looked on as pariahs, more or less, for going. And but they'd had trouble with their second album, More Specials.
It was quite an experimental album, weren't it? That
Jerry Dammers, well, they reckon he was going a bit loopy. he was experimenting with different sort of sounds and taking the two-tone sound to another sort of level, plateau, evolving it more.
Didn't he say he was getting into Muzak and he wanted to kind of replicate Muzak around that point?
Yeah, and basically a lot of them couldn't stand it. Didn't like it at all one bit.
Yeah, there was a lot of tensions during that More Specials the recording sessions. There was so much fallout.
Yeah.
Do you like that album, Nick? More Specials. Is it one you would recommend, or is it kind of
if you're
the red-headed stepchild, really?
Well, it's like the bastard son of Bernard Manning, really. Let me turn around and see if I can dig it out. If you're a collector, you'd buy it just to sort of
for completeness sake.
Yeah.
Let's have a closer look at that. So this one's the second album, More Specials. What year did this come out?
1980.
80. Okay.
Yeah. I forget what her name is now, but she appears, like I mentioned, the fanzine, that two-tone before, during and after. They do an interview with this lady. Everybody seems to think it's Rhoda Dakar because she, after the Body Snatchers packed in, she sang a bit with a Special AKA. And they think it's her, but it's not. It's not her at all.
Right.
This also came with a free 7-inch single.
Oh, okay.
That's cool. You got that as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's got some good singles on it, though. It's got Rat Race on it. That's pretty good.
yeah. There's the odd good tune, but like I say, and Jimmy's pointed out, Jerry Dammers wanted to experiment a bit, and he might have thought it was fun, but it bloody well wasn't.
Yeah. Not for the rest of the band, anyway.
It's not a patch on their first album, not a patch at all, and it also comes with a poster.
Oh, sorry about that. Let me.
Well, that's in good condition. Is something, isn't it, for such an old album?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well looked after.
Yeah.
But like you say, if you're a completist, you'll get it.
Yeah.
But it's not one I'd recommend. I mean, if you want specials, get a hits type album in the first one.
I mean, is it too much of a difficult question to ask? Like, out of everything, what you would consider under the two-tone umbrella, what your number one album would be, or is is it something that change sort of from week to week or month to month? But what in your opinion, the best two-tone album that was released? Is that what is the first specials one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But the only thing that lets this down is the version of Too Much Too Young that appears on it, because it's a slowed down version.
Ah, right, okay. So is the single version unique then?
Well, it doesn't appear on that album.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was like on either like best ofs or anything or like that. Or...
But also on the same day that was released. That was released.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yes, I did them two albums as a battle of the debuts because of that reason. They were both released on the same day. I can't remember who won that.
No, I can't either. I think it might have been the specials. But yeah, you had those two released on the same day. I think the specials might have made number one. I think One Step Beyond made number two.
I think you're right. Sounds about right.
Because number one album. Madness didn't have a number one till the House of Fun, did they?
Well,
single, yeah, but album.
That was the
last year. They released Sailor V.
Yeah, Sailor V.
That made number one. I've got it behind me, but it's not. Later Madness, I wouldn't even sort of put in the two-tone bracket, ska bracket. Well, there is elements of ska and that in a lot of their songs. After One Step Beyond, possibly the second album, absolutely. No, it's that you can tell they're sort of moving away from that sort of stuff. But
I think you still get elements of that though in all the songs. There's still that slight, two-tone vibe to it.
There is kind of elements, like I say, in it of it all in a lot of their songs. I think it was Lee Thompson who sort of come up with it. He called it nutty music.
Yeah.
Didn't he refer to it as like music you'd maybe sort of hear at a fairground?
Yeah, there's elements in their stuff of like fairground, carnival.
Yeah, carnival.
Perhaps circus. That old sort of East End boozer where you got the old bloke in the corner playing the upright piano for a few points. Roll out the barrel and all that.
But they're having a laugh, weren't they? They're having fun doing it.
Which is why I liked them so much.
Yeah.
And I think the video Tonight Boat to Cairo sort of epitomises that.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah.
not only is it a great song that gets the crowd, they play that in like the encore section at gigs.
Yeah, I saw them at Finsbury Park, and that was just that was.
You were there for the Madstock?
Yeah, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah. I've got all the studio albums, but I want that album on vinyl. Desperate for it. Because I don't class my Madness albums collection complete until I get hold of that one.
Yeah, I'd like it as well.
It was a great day. I went as a last minute because someone dropped out.
Yeah.
And it was probably one of the best gigs I went to in, I think it was early 90s.
Yeah, they started, I know, because Madstock was a recurring, I don't know if it was every year, every 12 months, but they did a few of them in the 90s, didn't they?
I think this was the very first one because...
that would have been about 92 then.
Yeah.
They've been doing like Madness, sort of Madstock type things at like these Butlins holiday camps for the past few years.
Mm.
I think last year might have been the very last one. I'm not sure, but I only ever saw them play once, and that was at Silverstone about 8-9 years ago at the Grand Prix weekend. And right at the end, they had like Eddie Jordan and it was a Scottish Coulthard, and a load of them came on the stage at the end, jumping up and down and making twats of themselves.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? They're a good fun time band. Yeah. Great fun. They're the band that put the fun back into British music. I always say.
They was absolutely brilliant when I saw them. I was. I being of that age, I remember when they came on the scene as well, and they were a breath of fresh air.
But a lot of people I know don't like them because it's kiddie music and that. But you can't mention that sort of scene without mentioning them whatsoever.
No.
Even if they're not part of it anymore. But
I'll tell you one Madness thing that just didn't hit right for me, and it's on YouTube, and it's the pilot for the sitcom that they wanted to do in about 84. I think.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
No, I've not. I've heard
it's on YouTube. It's an interesting watch, but it was.
They wanted to do like a TV series featuring them. A bit like the Monkees.
Yeah, it was meant to be kind of like sort of like a cross between the Monkees and the Young Ones. I mean, it had like, I think who from the alternative comedy scene was involved in it. I want to say Ben Elton, but I think I might.
I think he was.
Yeah,
I think he was.
It wouldn't have worked. I don't think.
If you watch it on YouTube, it's an interesting thing to watch because I find watching pilot episodes of shows quite interesting. See how different they are from when they got made properly. But this obviously because it never got turned into a series, and I think by all accounts, was it Mike Barson who was about to leave soon after. I think he was.
Yeah,
he
had a sabbatical.
Part of it.
Him and his wife had bought a property in Holland,
right?
And he announced he was going to leave, but he carried on for a little while, fulfilling contractual obligations and whatever. And he eventually left for a while, moved over to Holland, and moved back. Other people ended up leaving the period. Bedders did for a while, bass player.
Yeah.
Woody, he played for a while with Voice of the Beehive.
He did.
The drummer.
Yeah.
The
only one who's left and hasn't come back into the fold, and everybody wishes he would, is
Chaz
Smash.
Yeah, he left not that many years ago, was it?
No, he was going through a rather sort of dodgy divorce. And he left, and he released a solo album called A Comfortable Man. And people keep asking, when's he coming back? It seems like it's one of them situations where he's never going to come back. But I as much as I love them, I think their time's coming to an end.
Yeah, I mean that album they brought out last year. I remember when I reviewed it, I said there was something missing, and it was called Chaz. It was Chaz Smash. Yeah,
yeah. It made number one for a week. It made number one for a week or two, and
I didn't rate it at all. I think it was there was nothing fun about it. It was too serious.
I've done a Madness album ranking, but it's not coming out on the channel till June, so I can't. I don't want to say where I put.
No, yeah. I mean, I thought he was one of the most important people in that band.
Yeah. So,
but Nick, to answer Mike's question from about an hour ago, why did Madness leave Two Tone, and should they have?
Right. Two Tone of Jerry Dammers signed bands up. He didn't want them sort of glued to contracts or anything like that. He signed them up under the proviso that they could leave after their first single for Two Tone if they wanted. It's basically you're promoting these bands and letting them go on to bigger and better things.
Yeah.
Stiff came in for Madness, and obviously they moved over. The Beat who recorded on Two Tone ended up going. Well, they ended up setting up their own label. I forget what it's bloody well called now. How could I? Go Feet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They ended up being distributed by Arista, I think it was. Selector ended up going over to Chrysalis eventually.
Yeah, well, that was I mean, that transition was probably relatively straightforward because Chrysalis being
distributed,
kind of like the
parent. Well, basically, they were the money, weren't they?
Yeah. So that's why Madness left and went over to Stiff, is because the contract them and other bands had signed meant they could do it.
Yeah.
And after about a year or a year and a half, 2 years, Two Tone was virtually coming to an end anyway.
So that's what I said near the start. It, as a thing, as a scene, it was relatively short lived when you look at it, weren't it?
Yes, it was. It was originally sort of started around. He come up with the idea around the time of the Rock Against Racism.
Yeah. There was that big event, wasn't there?
Yeah. And it was there to prove to all the racist idiots.
Yeah.
That black and white people can get on all right, and make music together and, and have a good time.
That's like the first thing, when I would have first seen the specials when I was a kid. It's like, I think they would have been the first group on like Top of the Pops or whatever that I would have seen, or in Smash Hits or whatever, where there was like black members and white members, and none seemed more important than the other. It was just like a collective of these two races, and it was, it was nice.
UB40 were the same, weren't they?
I think they would have been another one, but I think for some reason with the specials it kind of stood out more. I mean, UB40 there again, and I do like UB40. I'm a bit of a fan. I'm not a massive fan, but I like them quite a bit.
Well,
but for me, they're they're more sort of like, it's reggae, but it's like, it's pop reggae catering to white people, even more so than maybe later Bob Marley. But the Specials was that kind of that racial unity that they had and that they espoused throughout throughout the life of the label and the group is. I think it's a great thing, and it's something that I noticed as a young child, and obviously I would have been very young, in the early to mid '80s,
But then I mean, they carried it on with Fun Boy 3, though, didn't they? That
yes, yeah.
Mm.
The you were saying about the Top of the Pops with the 3 bands on all at the same time on the same bill.
Yeah.
There was something they said, and I think it was Jerry made sure that 2 of the members were stood right next to each other on the same mic, right? To highlight, look, there's a black guy on one instrument, there's a white guy on another instrument, right?
But,
they're
Madness,
singing together, and they're having, they're enjoying themselves.
Madness were all white,
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
and a lot of their earlier gigs. A lot of the Nazi scumbags, would gravitate to them.
They had a right following for a while, didn't they? And
they didn't ask for it, and they didn't want it either.
No, I did read somewhere that Suggs was quite. It disturbed him.
Yeah.
Because that was not what Madness was about.
In the book, though, one member of Madness, I don't want to attribute it definitely to Chaz, but his name's ringing a bell. He kind of justified it by saying, well, these far right, these neo Nazis, they have got a right to go to gigs, and apparently, like the rest of the band, were absolutely furious with him for saying that. Now, whether it was definitely a member of Madness who said it, and I think it was Chaz, but I might be wrong there, so apologies but that was a definite. So he was being interviewed, and he said, "Well, we can't stop them coming to gigs. If they want to come to ours, then fine." And then he got in some shit for saying that.
Well, you couldn't stop them at the door because how can you tell who's who? And it's got a great big badge on saying National Front or whatever it is, and so all the other bands had black members in. Body Snatchers, Road of Dakar.
I mean, it's
black. Bad Manners had a black drummer.
Really, that these neo Nazis would, apparently a lot of them, like their record collections at home, they were full of like old reggae and ska.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense.
Music by black artists. From
they would turn up at selector gigs as well,
and
be there near the front, Zeke Highland and all that sort of stuff. And Pauline Black
liked the music. It was, it's best belief, really.
Pauline Black would say, right, they'd stop the music and they'd all go off.
Yeah.
And basically, I remember seeing her being interviewed, and it'd be like what she described as a blackout, a skinhead ambassador would come up to the dressing rooms and knock on the door. Are you coming back down to play? No, because all your chums are down there, Zeke Highland and causing. Well, we're not doing that. We're here for the music.
Yeah.
But,
Mike's made a good point here when he said the fascists tried to use ska and two-tone as a recruiting ground. I think that is true. I think there was like a lot of leafleting going on at gigs, weren't there? Because that's the problem. There were. It's 40 odd years ago, obviously, but National Front in sort of kind of local politics, at least, they were all over the news at that point, weren't they? The late 70s. Especially in deprived areas, obviously, which obviously because the Specials and the two-tone roster, they did like a seaside tour, didn't they?
Yeah,
they went to all these kind of like somewhat deprived or kind of very working class seaside resort. I mean, Skegness is one that I saw on the bill when I saw the book. But there was also, Margate, I think, might have been another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a two-tone tour, Specials, Selector, and Madness. And apparently Rico, trombonist with the Specials, he would sit in the back seat holding court, and he'd be there smoking the old doobie.
Yeah.
And it was very heavily promoted in that. But like you say, a lot of the Nazi scumbags would follow him around because
Well,
gigs were an easy way of recruiting people. If you got one person, he'd go and tell all his mates, and then some of them would join up. But
I vehemently disagree with anything that's on the far right of the political spectrum. It still boggles my mind that a lot of these neo-Nazis, their favourite music was reggae and ska, though, and it's like
it doesn't make any sense.
It's completely nonsensical as far as I'm concerned. But it was, that was what it was for a lot of them.
Go on.
There's a good documentary to watch on YouTube by Don Letts.
Oh yeah, Don Letts.
Yeah, Story of Skinhead.
Oh.
Well worth watching. And he talks about like the Nazi scumbags and the National Front infiltrating more or less gigs and that. And a lot of these sort of hardcore Nazi type bands like Screwdriver.
Yeah, who originally didn't start out as a...
No, they were an oi band and a good one.
In fact,
they turned all nasty.
They had Mark Radcliffe in their lineup in the early days, didn't they?
Did they really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Radio 1 and Radio 6 DJ, Mark Radcliffe, he was in Screwdriver for a time.
They got a bit brainwashed by it all, I think.
But
I think he'd left like before they officially pinned their colours to the swastika, as it were. But yeah.
The lead singer, he like you say, he was very ignorant of the roots of it all, the skinhead, because skinhead evolved via Jamaica.
Yeah. I read some stuff about the lead singer of Screwdriver. He's dead now, isn't he?
He died in a car crash, I think, if I remember right. But he denied that skinhead evolved from black Jamaicans. He denied all that 100%. And about 85, I think it was like the first time I ever encountered racism. Personally, I was at a scooter-based do, and I had, mind you, I looked like a thug, but I wasn't.
Yeah, but it's just, it's
and
I was what you look like. I bet there's a lot of people who probably looked like, I wouldn't want to tangle with them, but it doesn't say that their politics are.
No, I was never ever interested in the politics of it all. I just loved the music. Admittedly, I couldn't afford all the smart tonic suits and all that sort of stuff. So I used to go down the army surplus and get, the trousers, and I had a pair of 14 old Doc Martens. I had the skinhead haircut, the green flight jacket, and all that. And I was at this do. Ian would have heard of this place, Market Harbour.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were at a scooter-based do over there, and I was jumping up and down and dancing away. I think it was Bad Manners at the time, actually. And this skinhead girl came walking up to me and started coming out with this racist fucking spiel. And I couldn't believe it. But somebody who looked as pretty as her would come out with all this bollocks. And then her boyfriend walks past and starts agreeing with her and telling me I shouldn't be dancing all to this stuff, black what's your names and all this sort of stuff.
Why the hell are they there then?
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
It's crazy, If I was that against something, I wouldn't bother my arse to go and be a part of it, even if it was as a protest thing. It's just don't bother.
I even remember when the National Front came to Kettering. They're in Kettering town centre, Ian.
Yeah, bloody.
And I couldn't believe it. You had old chaps there with their raincoats on and all their war medals and their regimental berets and all that, holding up British flags. And then it was like, oh, come over here and have a chat with us. Yeah. People no, thank you. No, never ever interested in the politics of it all. I just love the music.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but going back to the beginning, yeah, special. Came aware of it all. What was something happening in the music scene when the specials were starting and the Walt Jabsco and that. And I never really paid much attention of it until that was released.
Yeah, that's
that's
madness. Yeah.
Beyond.
A single, One Step Beyond. Yeah.
And that's a cover version of that. I don't know if you can see it. One Step Beyond by Prince Buster.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Because their song, The Prince, was about Prince Buster, weren't it?
Oh, I was going to say that earlier, yeah.
Yeah, their homage to Prince Buster.
Yeah.
And on the other side of that one, you've got Al Capone, which is like, we talk about the specials and gangsters. It was like a kind of not a proper cover version, but it took bits of this song by Prince Buster, Al Capone, and they turned it into gangsters.
Yeah, because they were saying the whole thing about "Don't Call Me Scarface" and all that.
Yeah. But that was when I really sort of got involved, and a mate of mine said, "Oh, that's a cover version, eh?" And I was totally naive about music at the time.
Yeah,
I never knew what a cover version was.
Yeah.
I knew people from the television sang other people's songs, but I never knew there were cover versions of that. And that to me, that was a call to arms.
Yeah.
That was the one that really grabbed me by the ghoulies and got me interested in it all. And then eventually looking into cover versions and who sang this and skinhead reggae and all that sort of stuff. And the old original ska tracks and that. And if it wasn't for that, you wouldn't have had Two Tone. I doubt Two Tone would have ever existed.
No.
I think what makes Madness a bit unique in that genre, it's all to do with Lee Thompson's saxophone.
Yeah.
Oh, I used to love his saxophone. He was brilliant.
And you've mentioned this moments ago, the Prince.
Oh yes, yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. The One Madness single.
That's a British one. That's a French one.
Oh.
But on the other side, on the B side, you got the song Madness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which was originally Prince Buster. So Madness took their name.
It's one they call it Madness. This is Madness.
Yeah.
That's
how Madness got their name from the Prince Buster tune, and they recorded their version of it.
Yeah.
It all goes back to the old sort of Jamaican ska tunes and that. You can always sort of trace songs back to them.
It wasn't Madness. Yeah, but it was Prince Buster, wasn't it?
Yeah. He was one of their biggest.
Credited to his real name, isn't it? Cecil Campbell.
Cecil Bustamante Campbell.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a boxer as well. He did a bit of boxing in his time, and that's how he got his nickname, the Prince.
Yeah. Jimmy Cliff, did he have much of an influence on them? I'm sure I read that he did, but I can never remember whether he counted as reggae or ska.
It's more like sort of Jamaican sort of skinhead reggae.
Yeah.
Jimmy Cliff.
I mean, Madness covered The Harder They Fall, didn't they?
Yeah.
The Harder They Come. Yeah.
My favourite. Harder They Come, that's the one.
There you go. That's Jimmy Cliff.
Yeah.
Oh,
Very cool.
But a lot of these old sort of Jamaican, they call it skinhead reggae because it basically the skinheads sort of adopted it, you know.
Yeah.
And they never had a problem with the Jamaicans and all that.
Well, yeah, that's because they were true skinheads. They weren't this offshoot, nonsense.
But also, it was mentioned earlier that there was a ska sort of two-tone film.
Yes, yeah.
Dance Craze.
Oh yeah, I've got to watch that. I saw that. Yes.
This is the reissue from last year. Box set. I think you got 3 albums in here. I've got the original as well. Now the original, if I can find it, there it is. That's the original. Now the bloke who directed this, he originally wanted to do a film about Madness. After seeing them on tour in America.
Yeah.
But it's involved into this. I've got it on video. It was re-released it was released for the very first time last year on DVD. If you'd ever seen it advertised on DVD before last year, it was a bootleg copy.
Yeah,
because it was never released on DVD until last year. And I kept putting off buying a copy. Should I buy it now? No, I'll leave it till next week. I did my usual trick, and before you know it's too late. I can't get hold of it. But I have got the video, but obviously I can't watch it because I ain't got a video recorder anymore.
One of the things I did notice, though, there does seem to be a resurgence in love for ska. Because there was on that documentary again, I don't know how old it is, but not very old. There was some band that were basically, and I think Jerry was involved in it, were doing, ska music again. But I can't for the life of me remember the name of them now. But I mean, if that came out in 2001, that documentary, then we're only talking 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So that makes me wonder whether there's a new demand for it again. Whether people want to.
Well, there's always a demand for it because there's a lot of ska and reggae cover bands that do the club circuits and all that, and the pubs.
Yeah.
And everyone I've been to has been full to the rafters. They're packing them in. There's always a love for it and a want for it.
Yeah. This seemed to be original material, you see.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you knew anything about that.
No.
I've just checked on YouTube and Dance Craze is up there.
Yeah, you can watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, it is. So if people want to watch it, it is there.
Yeah. I want the DVD.
I do want to see that Story Skinhead film now that you've mentioned that. Because I like anything. I like a good documentary and I like sort of
anything
the fringes of politics,
Yeah, anything that Don Letts does is generally good watching.
Yeah,
he's a damn good documentary maker.
Yeah,
and it is worth watching. It tells you the real proper story of the skinhead movement.
The one thing I found quite extraordinary was that I can't stand the guy myself. But old Pete Waterman in the early days had a bit of an influence with getting ska off the ground. Because he was playing it in clubs and stuff.
Yeah, his name did crop up in the book, actually.
Yeah.
I wonder if Nick on that.
Considering what he did in the 80s and that drivel that he released, it does amaze me.
I mean, he's from that neck of the woods, isn't it? Coventry. Pete
Waterman. He is, yeah.
He's still got his kind of, his West Midlands accent after all these years.
I know he has been involved in it all in some sort of fashion, over the years. But Dance Craze, go and watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, I might well give that a watch.
Yeah.
There's segments in it that you might think, oh bloody hell, what the hell's going on here? You know, they're showing like mod culture and 60s jazz and dancing to that because it was filmed in such a way that it was so intense. They need people were in the audience were getting up and dancing in the aisles, but the film was that intense and the music that they just needed a break.
Yeah.
So,
I can never remember her name. The lead singer from Selector, she was saying, you know,
Pauline Black.
Yeah, they were in some of their gigs, and the sweat was running off the walls.
Yeah.
Right, and there was another one, and I don't know which band it was. It might have been the Specials. They were saying, and I've done something similar to this. They were jumping up and down so hard, right, that people were falling down through the floorboards into the cellar below.
Yeah, I think I read about that in the book actually about floorboards breaking.
Yeah, well, what a sweat down the walls. That's the Road Mender in Northampton.
So that's the thing when you read the book and you read about things like that, and you get you can sort of almost imagine yourself being there because it was such a well-written book and how it was described, and you know it must have been scary probably a lot of the time if you weren't used to the scene and everything that went on, but just to be a part of it. Wow, yeah.
But, Bad Manners appeared on that. They never recorded on the Two-Tone label, but they appeared in the film Dance Craze, which was a Two-Tone film.
I did like them. I did like them a lot.
They're still going in one guise or another. They've been going for years and that.
He's still kicking around then because he had quite a health scare, didn't he?
Well, he's got health issues at the minute. They are actually in Corby, where I live, a few weeks ago. My daughter went to see it.
He slimmed down a lot, didn't he?
Yeah. My daughter went to see him, and she said it was like he was drugged up on painkillers.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of trouble with his knees and that health issues. But I think he's going to be retiring soon.
Really, with all due respect, if his health's been pretty bad for a long time,
I think he's got a house and property in Bulgaria or something like that. He's going to go and live.
I never got to see it, but they actually played in my little town hall at one point many years ago.
I seen the original lineup. Special brew lineup and all that sort of stuff from the good old days. I see him a few times, but I've not seen him in recent years.
No, I mean this was probably about 20 odd years ago, if not more.
Oh, I'm going back to the 80s.
Yeah,
85. I saw that. I've seen him at the Isle of Wight. All scooter rallies. The scootering scene is responsible, really, for bringing a lot of these artists back into the limelight, if you were. You mentioned Desmond Decker. I've seen Edwin Starr. He's more your soul Motown. Judge Dredd. That's going back to like the 70s. He's part like the old sort of skinhead scene. He Judge Dredd. He did security work and that for Prince Buster back in Jamaica.
I don't really know any of his songs because all his releases were like EPs, weren't they?
A lot of EPs
the Big Six and the Big Seven.
Yeah, I've got his albums. I've got it. But yeah, he was the first, if I remember rightly, the first white person to have a reggae hit in Jamaica. If I remember right. So yeah, I've seen him. Bad Manners, The Selector. I saw him recently about a year or so ago over in Lincoln. I've got a picture of me with Pauline Black holding up one of her albums. So yeah, there's probably been loads and loads I wanted to say that I've sort of jumping around and forgotten. But there is one thing I did want to sort of show. Let me just find that Madness record again. Oh, what have I done with it? That pose for One Step Beyond. You see Mike Barson at the front there.
Mm-hmm.
That's based on a photo on the back of an album. That's based on.
I think I've seen that somewhere.
Kilburn and the High Roads, which is Ian Jury's first band,
Yeah.
and a big influence on Madness. It's based on that.
Ah, right.
Okay.
But that nutty walk, you saw that nutty jerky walk you see them do. That's based on Clive and Derek, isn't it?
Is it?
They do a sketch where the workmen coming out their houses first thing in the morning and walking to work.
Yes.
Smoking a fag, and you see them right up against each other. That's where the walk came from.
Ah, right, yeah.
And that's where the pose came from.
It doesn't really surprise me that, because I mean they were big fans of Ian Jury, and obviously they did that song together.
I think that's one of Ian Jury's roadies or something like that.
Mm.
That's where that came from.
I need to get some more of his stuff, because that Laughter album I've got is very good.
Yeah, well, I'm a big Ian Jury fan. The bloke's bloody fantastic. There was something else I wanted to show.
Okay.
Do we know what that is? If you do,
that. Oh.
Ew.
Ew. I saw that photo in the book.
Yeah. Just Jason, no?
I should do, but I can't think.
Right. Well, this was taken in February. Not this actual thing. This is like a copy. The photo was taken. The original photo was taken at Heathrow Airport in 1964, February, I think it was. And Prince Buster, in there, arrived for a sort of tour of Britain promoting sort of Jamaican ska music.
Yeah.
And this lady here is a fan of his. Some people think it's his wife or girlfriend or whatever, but it isn't. It's a fan of his called Bridget Bond.
Yes.
Do you recognise her a bit or anything like that?
Yeah, I can't think where. So I'm a major brain fart.
Right. Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
Yes.
To me, that doesn't. I don't think that's what I know. I don't know. There's something else.
Like the lady sort of follow-on from Walt Jabsco was sort of modelled on
That's
her.
The Beat Girl.
The Beat Girl.
She featured on the Beat albums and that.
Yes.
Ah, right. Okay, so she was the inspiration for that, was she?
That was the inspiration for that. That was designed by a chap called Hunt Emerson.
Yeah.
He was a cartoonist and an artist.
I'm sure I know her from something else.
He's done various cartoons and comic books, I believe, over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very famous cartoonist.
Yeah. Lovely. I mean, brilliant album sleeve, that.
Yeah, that's Dave Wakeling's version of the Beats. When the Beats split up. They scored.
I'll be honest. Sorry, go on.
Ranking Roger, Dave Wakeling, and various other people formed General Public, and other members of the Beat sort of did their thing over the years. Rankin Roger eventually reformed his version of the Beat. Dave Wakeling already had
right. I didn't know the two were connected.
Yeah. So this is Dave Wakeling's version of the beat,
Mm.
and that's autographed by Dave Wakeling as well.
Oh.
But she came about because back in the early days of the beat, and all that at beat gigs, and they thought that if they could encourage more girls and women to come along, it would calm the men down and put an end to the fighting and that, because the blokes would be more interested in dressing up smart and trying to impress the crumpet.
Yeah.
If it, you know.
The crumpet.
So Hunt Emerson took.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean, though.
That image of Bridget Bond,
yeah,
the beat girl, turned it into that, and hey bingo. But there's a twist in the tale. Bridget Bond isn't all that you think she is. Bridget Bond started off as a man.
Oh, blimey!
Yeah, that's right. She was she's transsexual.
Yeah. Maybe that's where I know it from. I don't know.
There's also an interesting documentary on her story, or part of the story, because the trail of what happened to her sort of runs cold. There's an American lass who's done a half an hour documentary on her, trying to trace her, telling the world her story, and it kind of runs cold a bit. But I think she's close to finding out what eventually happened to her, whether she's still alive or what. Because surely she'd be due royalties, I'd have thought.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Or a family.
Ideally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was basically is it transsexual? You call it? I don't know what the right terminology.
A trans woman is what they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say transsexual. Yeah. Yeah. Certainly in the 60s. I think that was the.
Yeah. So she was the inspiration for her, the beat girl.
Oh, fair play. Yeah, I must admit I never really got into the beat an awful lot. The main one I know is their cover version. Can't get used to using.
Andy Williams. Was it Andy Williams?
Andy Williams, that's the one.
Yeah.
I liked Mirror in the Bathroom.
Yeah, well, their first venture into two-tone was Smokey Robinson's Tears of a Clown.
Yes, that was good as well.
But that was one thing I did want to sort of point out. I love interesting sort of stories like that, especially when it's connected with music and that you like, and love.
Yeah. So that's all the the little background details and stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff you might not, it's not something that perhaps you necessarily look up, but then someone tells you and it's like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's the sort of thing you kind of discover accidentally, and it's I never knew that. That's interesting.
Yeah, that Bridget Bond, it was in the book. Like I said, there's so much in it. Like it's difficult to kind of, it's a book I'm gonna have to reread at some point. For books I like, I will reread them like eventually, and that's one I really thoroughly enjoyed. Even without kind of hardly any knowledge of two-tone.
I mean, if somebody's on there Googling or whatever it is, just have a look for on YouTube or whatever it is for the Beat Girl. And I think, I'm not sure, I think it's an American lass who's done the documentary, and it's really good. It's it's quite professionally done.
So was she on all her sleeves then, or just a couple?
She
appeared on the vast majority of them,
weren't she? In some form. So she's quite ubiquitous.
Sometimes it would have been in a small little logo up in the corner.
I was getting mixed up in my head between her and like when they did a female kind of. I think was it for the poster for Too Much Too Young, where they'd got like a sort of female sort of equivalent to Walt Jabsco with a pushchair or something like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
They showed a lot. The ads were really good, like different in a lot of ways from the proper record sleeves, but like these ads, what they put in.
I've just put it in. I found it.
Oh.
You found it, have you?
Yeah, that's what you put in Blue Beat Baby.
Well, she released a song called Blue Beat Baby as well on the Blue Beat label.
Yeah, I should give that a watch. It's not that long, but it's about 30 odd minutes long, but it's really good.
If anything's come out tonight, is that there's been about 3 or 4 documentaries recommended for me to watch. That
keep you busy,
it's gonna be a busy week, really. There's that one you've watched, Jason. There's the dance craze that I want to see, the skinhead thing that's top of my list, and this Blue Beat Baby now as well. There might have been one more we touched upon.
I got into the skinhead movement, but like I say, it was never about the politics for me. And I'll defend proper skinheads to the hilt.
Mm.
You know, the proper ones who followed the old Jamaican ska and skinhead reggae and the clothes and all that.
Yeah.
I've been down to London to the Dublin Castle in Camden, which is like the home of Madness.
Mm.
You know, their pub. They have Madness meetups there, and I've been to skinhead meetups. And you might think, oh, good God, I won't want to mess with him. He's like 6 feet tall and built like a bleeding Sherman tank. But they're real nice, genuine people.
Well, we have down in my folks is Bognonfilia, which is a scooter rally. And that's all like, you know, a lot of them are obviously people that were skinheads in their youth, shall we say. And we speak to them and they're just like, yeah, you know, fair play people.
Yeah, a lot of them are in their 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
And they still follow the old sort of traditions and that. And I'll defend those people to the hilt.
Yeah.
Because they are what it's all about. They've
got no hidden agenda. It's just like, you know, we're who we are. You know, we like what we like, and you know, we're having fun doing it. We're not hurting anybody.
Yeah, there's a young chap at the end, towards the end of that Don Letts documentary. Young skinhead lad. I know him. He lives in Kettering, down the road from me.
Oh, right.
Kieran, his name is.
Yeah.
My daughter sort of dated him for a while, a short period, but nothing ever sort of came of it. But it's a good documentary. It puts you right on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Dance Craze is worth watching, if only for the music.
Yeah,
and it's filmed in such a way that it makes you feel that you are on stage with the band, jumping up and down and bouncing along with them. There's some fantastic tunes on it. Bad Manners are on there doing one called Nini Nini Nana Nana Nu.
Yeah.
That was their first single. That was a cover version. That was done by a band called Dickie Do and the Don'ts. Yeah, I've got it on an album behind me. But yeah, the Body Snatchers are on there, the all-female band. They're doing there's a couple of fantastic tracks in there called 007, Shantytown.
007 is great, I like that.
You know, Desmond Decker did that one where you got Rhoda Dakar bouncing around all over the stage and dancing away. And the audience, you can see them, they're all clapping their hands and it's brilliant. It's joyous music. Brilliant music.
Yeah.
Well, they do another one called Easy Life as well. That's a great live song.
I think anyone that's got a genuine love of music and live music should enjoy going to any concert.
Well,
yeah, I love it.
I love live music, and
that's why I'm really looking forward to seeing the Soap Girls next week.
Yeah,
I'd much rather go to pubs and clubs, those small, sweaty venues, and a great big. I mean, I saw the Damned at the Ali Pally with my daughter, and that was brilliant. But I wouldn't want to. My days of going to great big huge venues. I've seen Guns N' Roses at the Milton Keynes Bowl. Yeah. Never again. It's just too big and vast for me, and you get lost in a sea of bodies.
Yeah, you don't feel part of it quite the same, do you?
Yeah, I love clubs. I've seen no end of
this is a back room of the pub, and it's a great venue, and the atmosphere is always
I love it because I've been to the pubs and that in Kettering and seen two-tone ska bands and all that, you know, covers bands, and it's brilliant. It's a brilliant night. People dancing, the place is rammed, the landlord's making a fortune on beer. What more do you want?
Yeah, I went to see a band. I went to see a band last Wednesday in the Malt Shovel, a blues band.
That's Emmerdale, that isn't it? The Malt Shovel.
That's the rifle pub, isn't it? To the Woolpack, yeah. The Malt Shovel. You mention it, but you rarely see it.
Yeah, it's just great, you know. Just enjoying the music.
Yeah, we because my mate lives in Coventry, and I don't ask me what the pub name was or who the DJ was, but apparently he's quite well respected in Coventry, and he plays two-tone evenings. It's just ska and two-tone all night. Right?
Oh, there's loads of bands you can see, Jason, up and down the country.
This was just a DJ. It wasn't a band. It was a DJ, but a guy that really knew his stuff. And we had just a great, you know, a few berries and all that. Sitting down some of the times. But then the odd song would come up, and everybody get up and bounce around from foot to foot.
I used to go to like scooterist-based music do's. Like, I've already mentioned the one at Arborough, which was an eye opener for me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
Yeah.
And they play a lot of Northern Soul and Motown. And when you're wearing combat trousers and Doc Martens and all that, you can't dance to Northern Soul.
No.
I had a
girlfriend who could dance to it, you know, basic sort of stuff and that. And she tried teaching me, and I couldn't do it. So I used to go in a different room, or if it was just in one big hall, I'd sit down and, you know, have my fill of beer and wait for like skinhead sort of stuff, skinhead reggae and two-tone to come on. And when you were dressed the way I was, you could easily jump up and down.
Oh, that,
and sort of dance around. That's how I sort of really, really got into the music.
Well, that's,
you know,
that's why I like my rock music, is because I can't dance for toffee. But with that sort of music, you don't have to. It's just jumping, bouncing around and having a laugh.
Yeah, I saw a really good pub band, and they were called Scartone. And
there's a band from Northampton called the Two Tones.
Yeah, these were called Scartone. I've seen the Two Tones as well.
Yeah,
they're just the energy on stage with these guys, and the Scartones were a mix. You know, the drummer and the bass player were black. We've got white singers, a white singer, an Asian guitar player, and they were just playing all these great tracks from way back, right up to they didn't just do ska, they did rock steady, they did it all, and it was one of the best local pub bands I'd ever seen.
Mm.
Yeah.
I should have my Doc Martens on. Next week.
Let's have a quick look at the Doc Martens.
Uh-huh.
We've been going for almost 2 hours 20 minutes, believe it or not. I know we've had a few technical problems, but we're still I'd say well over 2 hours of this. I mean, is there anything else that you want to mention or tell us before we close out? Anything in particular that you didn't get round to mention it?
Oh, there's loads of it, Jimmy. I was beavering away making notes.
We might have to do a part 2 one day then. You know, if put the rest of those notes to use.
Yeah,
but
if I can say in conclusion,
absolutely. Yeah.
If it wasn't for stuff like that, the old skinhead reggae stuff.
Yeah.
And the old original, let's pull one out. Let's just pull one out. There we go. That'll do. The Pioneers.
Mm.
If it wasn't for bands like that, we'd never have heard of that. Two Tones.
So, these Jamaican musicians and the immigrants and everything, we've got a lot to, we've got a lot to be grateful for, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about any. Go on, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I want to give an absolutely massive thank you to Nick for tonight. He did, exactly. He deserves a proper round of applause. I hope everyone who's been watching along, either silently or chatting now, hope you've all enjoyed it. There we go. I wanted to show some records. Look, which poster. Lovely. Big 5. What's that?
If you want to get into this sort of stuff, reissues are the way to go.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot. Yeah, there seems a lot of them in coming out sort of as reissues, isn't there?
They're easily found on Discogs, on eBay. I can give you eBay sellers who sell a lot of that stuff. A lot of the reissues I've purchased from them. I've got original stuff on Trojan.
They were a big label, weren't they?
Oh, very big. That's the Trojan story. That's a triple album set. I got that from
that's quite a good album.
They're old original Jamaican. A lot of them are old original Jamaican sort of ska labels.
Yeah.
Rarer than hen's teeth. A lot of them.
There's plenty of. Well, if you go to record fairs, I mean, while we was up in Leeds, there were loads, weren't there, Nick?
Yeah. I picked up a few.
You did, yeah. So there's plenty out there for you.
But I was sat down thinking to myself the other day. Once I complete a lot of the artists I'm after, the Damned, Stranglers, and stuff like that, I'm just going to stick with this sort of stuff, buying this because it's what I love the most.
Yeah, and that's why we wanted you up, because we knew that you had a passion for this sort of thing, Nick. So, to be able to hear about it, we've got another one. It won't let me finish until we've seen some more. I'm trying to read these backwards all the time.
Danny Livingston. He did a message to you, Rudy.
Oh, right.
Excellent. Yes, yeah. I did have a little look at that.
That actually came from a record fair at Birmingham at the Transport Museum, Motorcycle Museum.
Evening, James. We are finishing up, but hope you'll be able to watch some or all of this on replay, because we've had a fascinating chat. Obviously, as always, I want to thank Ian and Jason for being my usual co-host. But one more big thanks to Nick's Vinyl Butty, and you can see his another round of applause for him. You can see his link on the ticker bar there, or his channel handle. But he shows all sorts of records. It's not just two-tone and ska and reggae. He's got an eclectic taste, but go and give him a sub.
You can't just mention Prince Buster without mentioning this bloke, Laurel Aitken, King of the Skinheads.
See, look, he wants to keep going. Look,
there's so much to show.
You can only really scratch the surface, even in 2.25 hours or however long we've been talking. But,
I apologise, but I just couldn't get the link working.
It's fine, I mean, I know there's so much more to talk about, and as I say, I said it kind of half in jest, but if you think there's enough to talk about for a part 2 at some point, then we'll gladly have you back up again in the not too distant future. So just that's something for us to think about.
There's bands we've only sort of really skimmed over,
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know how to say well.
You've set the benchmark now, Nick.
Yeah. Exactly. Mike's put it perfectly there. With that was an education, and it was, and a really good one, a really interesting and fascinating one.
I knew a little bit, but
yeah. I mean, I thought, being some of the older than me by a good 10 years or more, that you would have a lot more first-hand knowledge. But because I was too young to really remember any of it, apart from maybe the very tail end. I
think that's why I do like it, because I was there when it in that late 70s. I was when you get to the age of 12, that's when music really starts.
Yeah.
But thank you everyone for watching and for contributing in the chat. I really appreciate it. Tons of fun tonight. The Sodcast is back in 2 weeks' time. We have discussed what we're going to be doing. I don't want to confirm it now because I want to have a chat with Simon at some point between now and then. But we have tentatively got the next one in 2 weeks planned. But thank you, everyone. Thank you once again, Nick. It was an absolute pleasure, sir.
I know you want to go. You probably need the toilet or something.
I need a cup of tea, certainly.
Thank you. Bless you for asking me on.
I
was shitting bricks about this. I really was.
No, you've done.
But you've all sort of helped me along the way. So
yeah,
no problem.
You did brilliant. No, yeah, you did absolutely fantastic, and we really appreciate. We're really appreciative of it. If I can spit it out,
but you make sure you watch them documentaries.
Oh God, yeah. I've got to start adding them to my watch list.
Or you'll incur my wrath.
Yeah, yeah. There we are. We're going to go now and say goodbye. So join us in 2 weeks. Obviously, check out what Ian's doing on Ranking the Obscure this week. Same with Jason. Subscribe to Nick. He'll have something up soon, no doubt. Enjoy the gig on Friday as well, Ian.
Yeah, have to let us know about it.
And I'm sure we'll hear about it on Thursday night. But we're going to end this now. So cheers.